Welcome back to the Expert League, everyone. My name is Cindy Yu, and I'm the National Welfare Manager here at Outside the Locker Room. Here we interview experts from different specialties to give us a background on their work, as well as some tools and tips on how we can navigate these challenging times. Today I have with me Camille Cunningham from Melbourne. Hi Camille, thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
Hello, Cindy. I'm doing very well today. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, our pleasure. Thank you for joining us. So Camille is an adolescent and family counsellor as well as a clinical supervisor. So she specialises in young people and has worked for the last 9 years in secondary schools, local councils and church ministries. So she's bringing a great deal of knowledge and experience to this conversation. Really excited to hear more from you, Camille. Firstly, could you tell us a little bit about how you became a counsellor and how you started specialising in adolescents and families?
Yeah, okay. Well, thank you, Cindy, for your time as well. Look, for me, I finished school, and like probably many school leavers that we find today, I had no idea what I wanted to do when I finished school. And I had a wise woman in my life at the time who was actually the pastor of a church that I was attending, and she said, Camille, I think you should try counselling. I think you enjoy people, you're a good listener, you're relatable to people. Sounds like I'm big noting myself, which I'm not.
I think all those things are true.
Oh, thank you, Cindy.
Yes,
Well, she basically helped me see that maybe this could be a good pathway for me. And I think at the time I was so lost finishing school and again, not knowing what to do, that I really just appreciated her feedback and trusted her and thought, yeah, I'm going to give this a go. And literally from the moment I started my degree at uni, I just loved the course. I loved learning about people and why we do what we do. I learned a lot about my own life in the process. And so that was really the gateway for me to become a counsellor. And then working with adolescents, I did some voluntary work for a local youth group, again, helping out, really just feeling a need, wasn't really thinking that I was passionate about it or anything like that. But it's amazing, again, through doing something in a voluntary capacity, I realized how much I really enjoyed it and wanted to give my time more and more to it. And I guess it's just continued on from there. I find I can relate well to young people. Maybe it's because I feel like I'm semi-young myself and feel a bit of a privilege to be able to, I guess, mentor them and maybe help them through those tough life decisions that we find lots of young people facing. So yeah, it's definitely been a passion of mine since that moment.
Absolutely. I can hear your passion. It sounds like you've really followed your passion along the way and your intuition. And you've found that you love working with this audience. So what then drew you to joining our team here at Outside the Locker Room?
Well, I guess a few reasons really. Firstly, I love the work that Outside the Locker Room do. Obviously, you do a lot of work with adolescents, and I found that we had that common ground already. And equally, I love the relationship between mental health and sport as well, and there's so many positives that come out of that relationship when we find young people are invested into a sporting club or a sporting group. Their mental health most of the time is escalates and rises into a really positive place through being able to exercise and be part of a team and have teammates. And so I love, I guess, that partnership. And I know Outside the Locker Room very passionate about that. And I guess I found being a counsellor as well, it's a good opportunity for me to know what's going on in my own local community. So when I guess Cindy invited me to become part of the team, I felt quite privileged because I guess I get to put my ear to the ground to see what's happening actually in my own local community and, not only be available, but also for me to understand the dynamics and to hopefully make me a better counsellor and to be available to people as they need. So, yeah.
It's been a privilege having you on board as well, and you're teaching us just as much as we're hopefully teaching you. It's definitely a different field to what we usually do in private practice. A lot of people might not realise that working in the preventative space is quite different. And yeah, you have quite a passion with sports as well. So now that we're hearing that some of the restrictions are starting to get lifted and there might be some trainings and things going on, what do you think people are struggling with the most at the moment?
Yeah, it's a good question. Look, I think from my perspective, and again, it's just my perspective, and lots of other therapists will maybe potentially bring other things to the table as well. But I think a lot of people, I guess I'm talking probably more from that adolescent space, is anxiety really. I do work a lot with young people who are suffering from anxiety, a lot of social anxiety I work with predominantly the most. But I really think that, especially for sort of a 13, 14, 15-year-old, their whole schooling has been completely flipped upside down, and that brings a whole lot of uncertainty and unsureness to, you know, where's normal for me right now. There's lack of accessibility to maybe their teachers that they've had. They don't have their peers around them as much as they, you know, used to have. And especially for obviously our VCE students who potentially are, you know, high achievers and wanting to really excel in these last couple of years of their schooling, having obviously their normal structure of schooling being somewhat disarray, or, you know, move to a remote schedule can bring unwanted anxiety to young people. So that's really what I guess I'm picking up and feeling that we're facing a lot of. And I think also adolescents don't necessarily have the resilience, and I say that in a really positive way, to maybe what we might have as adults, where we've got some life experience, we've been through some tough times or some uncertainties, and we've kind of adapted skills to be able to help us through those. Whereas for adolescents, they potentially don't have that life experience just yet. They're still young and they haven't been able to grapple something. And so for them, obviously COVID-19 is quite an uncertain place for them, and they potentially are one of the highest risk categories I find at the moment with that.
Yeah, we are going through huge changes right now. You know, we had the challenges of going into that, you know, restricted phase, and now there's changes now coming out of it again. So there is a lot of those feelings that are coming up again that may have occurred when we first went into lockdown. And so do you have any advice for the audience watching this at home?
Look, I think some advice could be to keep things as simple as possible. So I guess if you do have young people in your house, things like keeping a normal routine. Obviously, school is, I'm in Melbourne, so for us, school is going back next week in the coming weeks. But for others who are watching that are interstate, maybe they have obviously their young people back at school already. But just kind of keeping a normal routine and structure is really helpful at the moment. So for those that are not yet back at school, getting your young people to go to bed at a normal hour that they would if they were going to school, and to obviously get them out of bed equally at the same time that they would if they obviously again were going to school. If they can be doing things like exercise, you know, that is also a positive thing, getting out into the fresh air and being able to see outside life and to have a break equally as well. But equally, I think you know, parents can do a lot in terms of having a family meal together, even if it is once a week or twice a week. Basically bringing the whole family together, having a chance for everyone to talk about their day and what's been going on. That equally helps young people with their communication skills and helps them to see that this is life skills and what we normally do. Also, having time with each child is also, we find, can be quite valuable as well. So if you have a couple of kids in the house, even taking one of them to do the grocery shopping or one of them to go for a walk with you, and just having that one-on-one time can help bring some stability to your young people in their house at the moment. So I guess what I'm saying is to keep doing the things that we can control, and obviously there's lots of things that we can't control, but there's lots of things that we normally do in our normal life that it's important for us to keep doing right now, and that brings stability and helps our young people feel more secure, because obviously there's lots of change, but there's also things that we can control and keep the same. So if you do your taco night on a Wednesday, keep doing that, or toasties on a Sunday, keep doing those sorts of things, which can obviously help bring consistency and a normal routine as well.
Absolutely. It's a very personal experience for each individual, isn't it? So finding what works for them and trying to create some of that structure and routine back into our lives is really important.
Yeah,
Yeah,
very
thank
much so.
you. That's really great advice for everyone. I hope someone got something out of that. If people want to get in contact with you to, hear more about what you do or connect with you, how can they reach out?
Yeah, they can do that through my email address. It's probably the best way to get in touch with me. I'm a clinical supervisor at Monash University, so I have my Monash email, which I can give out, which is just camille.cunningham. So it's camille.cunningham@monash.edu is the
Great.
best way you can get in touch.
Great. And you can also find Camille on the Australian Counselling Association website.
Yes.
If you do know how to navigate that, you can go to find a counsellor and type in Camille's name. So thank you so much for joining me here today, Camille.
Oh,
We
thanks,
really
Cindy.
appreciate your insights and your advice to everyone at home. And yeah, can't wait to see you out there with OTLR very soon.
Yeah, can't wait either. Thanks so much, Cindy, for your time. I'll
Thank
look forward
you.
to the future when we can get out and do those things. It'd be great.
For sure. Take care. Thank you.